name in the book, find their eyes. Two men walking where the harvest lies. Oh, elder bar wax step by the door, Bible in his hand, feet hit the floor. Sun just rising, but he been up late, calling on heaven for the souls will chase. Man, they out home with him, side by side, side by side. Front porch prayers, long car ride, knocking on hearts more than knocking on doors. Looking for the lost that the world ignores. Elder Barrow walking by Nay Hall, a man who wins souls, calling us home when we drift so far. A man who wins souls, a man who wins souls. Oh, street on the corner, chains on the mind. They speak true, watch them unwind. Tears start falling, walls come down, all heart beating to a different sound. They don't chase fame, they don't chase hype, just read the page and live that life. One by one, see the wounded rise, flash start shining in their eyes. From the prisons to the projects, from the suburbs to the small towns, where the pain hides, quiet in the background. They go, they go, they go, they go. Playing one word, watch 10 more grow. Calling us home when we drift so far. A man who wins souls, 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 a man who wins souls. Calling us home when we drift so far. A man who wins souls, a man who wins souls, a man who wins souls, a man who wins souls. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm a living sacrifice. I chose to be a service to the people that be hurting. Lord knows I don't deserve this life. I've been searching and I found that I'm just here to serve a purpose. Listen, I'm a living sacrifice. Y'all don't understand, it was all in this plan. I'm just here to help you get it right. No, I'm not your average Israelite, cause I am the light. Who I am in this flesh ain't important at all. I'm just here to save as many as I can till I'm gone. Everybody got a lane, I just stay in my own. I never worry about the next and what they got going on. God gave me a mission, so I move a little different. Everything I say and do, it ain't me, it's the spirit. Yeah, that be God that you hearing. He uses me as a vessel. When he wanna take control, I don't fight, I just let him. I sacrifice my carnal life so I can do this work. I'm trying to save a few souls before I leave this earth. I hope and pray that when you hear this, you digest these lyrics. Just know we out here in these trenches, no square business. I'm a living sacrifice. I chose to be a service to the people that be hurting. Lord knows I don't deserve this life. I've been searching and I found that I'm just here to serve a purpose. Listen, I'm a living sacrifice. Y'all don't understand, it was all in this plan. I'm just here to help you get it right. No, I'm not your average Israelite, cause I am the light. Most of these Israelites do it for the image. They talk bad about them Christians, but they ain't no different. Modern day Pharisees is what they are. All they talk about is law, but don't be showing love at all. find it kinda funny how they claim to follow Christ. You a wolf in sheep's clothing, I can see it in your eyes, boy. Quit with all them lies, boy. Narrow is the way, you can't play on both sides, boy. Living double lies, boy. I sacrifice my carnal life so I can do this work. I'm trying to save a few souls before I leave this earth. I hope and pray that when you hear this, you digest these lyrics. Just know we out here in these trenches, no square business. I'm a living sacrifice. I chose to be a service to the people that be hurting. Lord knows I don't deserve this life. I've been searching and I found that I'm just here to serve a purpose. Listen, I'm a living sacrifice. Y'all don't understand, it was all in this plan. I'm just here to help you get it right. No, I'm not your average Israelite, cause I am the light.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Facebook, YouTube. This is Nazarene Hebrew Institute of Technology. We're not affiliated with any camps or hate groups. We're interviewing my beloved brother, Remy, llona. For the record of those who don't know, first, let me apologize to everybody. The original YouTube link, I don't know what happened. I just got a pop-up that it was some type of error and I needed to make the live stream over again. So all the links that I sent out earlier of the YouTube, I had to go back and redo it. So please forgive me for the technical difficulties. I do know a lot of brothers and sisters will watch this later as well. I just want to give y'all a little detail of who my brother Remy is. He's been here before. So I just want to, just give me a second. I got kind of thrown off track. Satan be trying to work. But Remy is, llona is a PhD. He is an attorney, historian, cultural theorist. He earned his MA and PhD at the Florida International University and Miami University in California Riverside, respectfully. That's just his history. I don't want to go on and read everything, but he does definitely have studies in anti-Semitism, Igbo religion, African religions, and history and religions in the Americas. He is from two Israelite families that are Levites. His father's the Oduju, llona. I know I'm butchering their names, please forgive me. For many centuries, his mother's family, Ezekiel Akwa, is a Levite. Every member of her family is Dabaya. To understand who is Dabaya, examine Samuel, who led Israel. So, with that being said, welcome Remy, back again. Glad to have you.
Thank you, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Good morning. It's your brother, Remy llona, who is raring to go to have a conversation with you about our Israelite heritage and culture. Shalom. Thank you.
All praises. And for y'all who don't know, Remy has a strong accent, so he's going to be speaking slow so you guys can understand. So you need to listen carefully. As we begin, I'm going to start off with the first question. I need you to deal with. We interviewed Tudor Parford, and in the interview, I want you to bring out clarification and clarity. One of the questions to be, what do you think about the position of Tudor Parford, who we have interviewed on Israelite heritage.
Everyone, I repeat again, thank you for attending and listening to us. You may not know my relationship with Tudor. I was a student at the Florida International University where I had got my MA in religious studies. We studied together. Tudor is a phenomenal scholar. He's done tremendous work on some Israelite subjects, but he has not really done much work, or he has not really worked on the Igbo subject. What he has, his positions on the Igbo are really general positions, and I believe that this has in some ways influenced the positions he has taken on the Igbo question. I listened very carefully to his responses to the questions that you, Shah Barawak, posed to him about the Igbos. And I say respectfully that if Dr. Parfit had very carefully examined the works of people like myself, Dr. Yehonatan Elazadi Mota, Dr. Daniel Lees, I believe his views would have changed. And I am using this opportunity to invite him to listen more intently to what people like us are saying. I'm speaking specifically about myself now. I am saying that Omenana is the name for the Israelite culture and religion. It is also the description for the Igbo religion and culture. I am saying that it is the mother of the Israelite religions. In other words, every Israelite religion came out of that religion. Because I can understand where Tudor is coming from. The theories he is using to look at the Igbos cannot really lead somebody who has not studied from the angle that people like myself have studied from to really get the true picture about the Igbos. If somebody is looking at the Igbo people with theories that essentially cater for looking at Jewish communities that developed in Europe and the Arab Muslim world, the person may miss the picture that we are trying to show the person. As Yehonatan Elazadi Mota said in the ruling, or confirmed in the ruling, Dr. Yehonatan Elazadi Mota and the Obadiah Alliance, there was something they confirmed in the ruling that they gave about the Igbos. The Igbos are lineal descendants of the Israelites, and you can find this by looking at their culture and language. In other words, trying to see if they resemble the Jews, that is the Ashkenazi, the Sephardi, the Mizrahi, to determine if they were Israelites. You will not get the true picture. Rather, if you look at the Ashkenazi Jews, the Sephardi Jews, and compare them to the Igbos, you will be able to see that the Igbos will validate them. It is the Igbos that will validate them, not they that will validate the Igbos, because the Igbos retained connections to the oldest culture of the Israelites more than these groups I mentioned. So this is essentially what I want to point out about why Tudor holds the positions he holds on the Igbos. I will recap for clarity. If Tudor listened more carefully to what people like myself are saying, people like Yehonatan Elazadi Mota, people like Daniel Lees, he would be able to get better understanding of the Israelite heritage of the Igbo people. And I understand why he views the subject the way he views it, because I studied with him. It has to do with the information available to him. And this information that is not available to him because he has not really studied them. Because, you know, you cannot put two hands in your mouth at the same time. The problem he has with understanding the Igbos is the problem that Igbo professors and historians also have. Most Igbo professors who are historians have not really studied the Igbo people with the right theories. I'm talking about Igbos like myself now. They have also not studied the Igbo people with the right theories. They are relying on the same theories that people like Tudor are relying on. And those theories don't lead to the facts. The correct theory, to make it as simple as possible, is look at the culture of the Igbo people. Look at what the Igbo people are doing, even today. It's not different from what Moses did. If you want to look at the language that the Igbos are speaking today, it is not completely different from the language that Moses spoke. But if you are relying on theories that were developed by people who have not really studied this subject, what you would see is the Hebrew language is Afro-Asiatic, the Igbo language is Niger-Congo, and then you will miss the facts. Rather than looking at these theories, what you are supposed to do is to try and find the language that Moses spoke. Then listen to an Igbo who is talking today. You will begin to see profound similarities. You will begin to see strong, irrefutable evidence that there are some things in the Bible that the Igbo person who understands and speaks Igbo language will understand, that Ashkenazi Jews, Sephardi Jews, Mizrahi Jews, Ethiopian Jews will not understand. But those things are in the Bible. I will end this strand of the conversation with just one example. In the book of Genesis, the writers of the Bible said Haran died in the face of the father. This is the most correct translation. The most correct translation of this verse is Haran died in the face of the father. Only an Igbo person who understands the Igbo language and knows the Igbo culture will know what the writers of the Bible were saying. An Ashkenazi Jew, a Sephardi Jew, a Mizrahi Jew cannot understand what Haran died in the face of the father really means. So how can you know?
Remy, 1 second, Remy. Just to cut you off, I'm trying to make sure everybody hears you. Just slow down just a little bit more. They're saying they understand you, but just a little bit, slow down just a little bit more so they can understand your accent. Go ahead.
So, I will recap the last point I made. Tudor has done a tremendous amount of work, helped to keep the subject of the African Jews in focus. And when I say the African Jews, I do not include the Igbos. If you want to refer to the Igbos as a part of Africa, you would say Israelite Africa. The Igbos are different from African Jews because if you want to talk about the connections of the Igbos and Africa, you have to talk about centuries of connections. About over 300 years ago, people in the Caribbean world had taken note that the Igbos were circumcised on the 8th day. In other words, of the populations that are alive today, of the populations that you will still identify today, the Igbos are unique in one respect. In the whole of Africa, they are the only groups who can find, when I talk about Africa now, I'm not including the populations that we know when they came into Africa, like the Western Jews in South Africa, or those in Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. Meanwhile, I am not saying that those groups can provide the evidence I'm talking about now, but I'm saying that the Igbos are the sole group that you can refer to as native Africans. When I say native, I mean people who have been in Africa for at least 800 years. The Igbos are the sole group among these groups that can give you written evidence that their males were circumcised on the 8th day. And before I was cut off briefly so that you will remind me to speak slowly, I was saying that there are provisions in the Bible. There are things you find inside the Bible that Ashkenazi Jews, Sephardi Jews, Mizrahi Jews will not understand. But Igbos understand those things. But if you do not have this information, if all the information you have is that Hebrew is an Afro-Asiatic language and that Igbo is a Niger Congo language, you will miss the truth. You will miss the truth. I repeat what I said. If the information you have is that Hebrew is a Semitic language or Afro-Asiatic language, and that Igbo is a Niger-Congo language, you will miss the truth. You will not have time again to compare that Hebrew that those people are talking about and the Igbo language to see that they are one language. So, this is essentially what I think, what I believe influences the perception of scholars like Tudor and even some Igbos about this subject. They are still looking at the Igbos not with the correct theories, not with the correct method. This is my position on the response of Tudor to your questions to him about my work and the work of Dr. Yehonatan Elazadi Mota. Thank you.
All praises. Just to brief that what he was saying, he was speaking about Tudor Parford, who we interviewed, who was another scholar. Remy was a student of him, and he was speaking in reference to some of the things he covered in that interview. If you haven't seen the Tudor Parford interview, go back and listen. Then you'll understand Remy's position of exactly what he's saying. I do know Tudor Parford did more work on the Limba, so it's possible that he doesn't really understand the Igbo is in depth like Remy and Demota does. And we did interview Rabbi Demota as well on this platform, and you can go on our YouTube channel and watch that. Down the line, I'm going to ask some questions about that as well. But right now, the other question will be the origin of the Jews. What's your position on that?
When you say the Jews, I suppose you mean the groups that we traditionally refer to as the Jews, that is the Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Mizrahi Jews. Okay. My position on these, the groups that are broadly, widely referred to as Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Mizrahi, they have subgroups, but broadly they are referred to as Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Mizrahi. My position is that some of them are descendants of the Israelites, and some of them converted to the religion we know as Rabbinic Judaism. So the best description of them is some are descendants of Israelites and some are people who converted to Judaism. And history is very clear about this. I will explain the historical aspects and then get into the cultural aspects. Prior to the era of Christianity, the Jewish community conquered and converted the Edomites to Judaism, and they became part of them. The nation of Edom was conquered and absorbed into the Jewish community. The Edomites were not Israelites, but through conversion, they became part of the Jewish community. And in this modern period, I don't want us to get into what happened thousand years ago. We have looked at one example from 1,000 years ago. Let us look at modern examples. Just about the time of the Second World War, there was a community in Italy, Catholics. They converted en masse. All of them converted to Judaism. And apart from their leader who died and was buried in Italy, the rest were taken to Israel. These were Italian Catholics. They did not claim to be Israelites. They had no connection to the Israelites, but they converted en masse. And this has happened throughout history. Even in our modern period again, assuming that the Abayudaya in Uganda were assuming that they were not African peoples, assuming they were Europeans, in the next 100 years, people may not know that they were converts. The reason why people know that they were converts and that they were members of 14 different African nations is because they are black. If they were white, white, people would think that they have been Jews for a very, very long time. But we know that in the year 2002, rabbis were sent from America. They went to Uganda and converted them to Judaism. So that was why I said that some of them are descendants of Israelites and some of them are people that converted to the religion of Judaism. I have used history to support my position that some are converts, while I said I will use culture. I will use culture to demonstrate that some of them are Israelites or descendants of the Israelites. I have a very good friend who is Ashkenazi Jewish, who has made out time to study Igbo history and culture. He was the second person that told me that he meant the Igbos, will validate them. He said the Igbos will validate the Jews. I know what he meant, and he was the second person that said it. When you look at some of their traditions, when you look at some traditions of Judaism, when you look at some customs of Judaism, they are very similar to the traditions of the Igbos. If they were not Israelites, or if their ancestors were not Israelites, I do not see how those traditions would have been in Judaism. I can talk about one or two of those traditions. Among the Igbo, if somebody does something that is so bad to the community, that person is mourned while the person is alive. In other words, a funeral ceremony is carried out for that person while the person is still alive. This is not a tradition you find in the Bible, but it is an Israelite tradition. And the Igbos do it even now. Interestingly, the Jews also do it, which means there was at a point when they and the Jews were one people. I mean, the Jews do it now, which means there was a point when the Jews and the Igbos were one people. And then life happens. One group moved to the north and one group moved to the south. And it is impossible for them to remain identical after such a long separation. because we could even have twins today. They came out of one woman, but their colors will be different. So, this is what I have to say about their origins. Some of them are descendants of Israelites, and some of them are people who converted to Judaism. Again, thank you.
All praises. All right. Um, the third question was majority of the mainstream Jewish and other academics are not definite or sure when they are not skeptical that the Igbo people came from Israel. What do you say to this?
This is a very, very big subject, and but we will try to do justice to it in under 10 minutes. And we must mention the elephant in the room: racism. Racism is a very major reason why scholars in the mainstream, whether Jewish or not, most anyway, because the eyes of some of them have opened. Daniel is a scholar. Dr. Yehonatan Elazar the Mota is a scholar. Dr. Nathan Devia is a scholar. And very importantly, Dr. Michael Alexander, who was my supervisor when I studied for my PhD, is a Jewish scholar. The eyes of these people have opened because they wanted to open their eyes. Their eyes have opened because they wanted to open their eyes, but a lot of people are still blinded by racism. They have not paused to think that if somebody lived in the Middle East, which includes North of Africa, and you are now telling the person that somebody you found in Russia is related to that person you found in the Middle East. You are telling the person that you agree, and you are telling the same person that somebody who lived in the Middle East, that you found the same person in West Africa. Okay, I will take it again. These people have opened their eyes to see that it is ridiculous to believe that somebody who lived in the Middle East can get to Russia but cannot get to West Africa. It's easier to get to West Africa. You don't meet winter, you don't meet many rivers, you don't meet the sea. The desert is a highway, but we understand what has happened. What has happened is that the people that have dominated storytelling, including religion, for 2,000 years, what they want to do is to take everything that is good, everything that is decent, they want to whitewash them. They want to make everything that is good white. And part of the things that they decided was good was the Israelite heritage. So they said they turned it into white. And because the Igbos are black, these scholars are not able to humble themselves. If they humble themselves, they will see that everything they have done throughout their careers are based on mistakes. If you say that the Igbos are not Israelites, what you are saying is that Israelites did not exist. Because the Igbo culture is the closest culture to the culture of the Israelites in the Bible. This is verifiable. I like to give examples so that whatever I'm saying will be very clear. If you wake up Moses today, if you wake up Aaron today, and ask both of them, what is the name of your religion? They may be a little bit confused because there is no point in the Bible where God said, this is the name of the religion. But there was a place that God described the religion. In Deuteronomy 6:1 and many other places in the Bible, God told the Israelites, this everything you have been taught, what you have been taught, are the things you will do in the land. If you ask any Igbo man or woman, what is the name of your religion? He will repeat what I just told you. Everything, every culture, every religion you will do in the land is the name of my religion. That is Omenana. So, how can anybody really say that they are good scholars if they say that a group that calls the Israelite religion what Moses, what Aaron we call that religion the same thing? I repeat, how can anybody believe that they are good, that they understand Israelite culture and history, if they think that a group, the Igbo people, who call the Israelite religion what God, what Moses, what Aaron called that religion? How can anybody think that they are good scholars if they don't know that these people are Israelites? The only slack I can cut for people who doubt that the Igbos are Israelites is they don't know, and they don't want to be humble to know. They don't know, and they don't want to be humble to know. Thank you.
All praises. All right, so we're going to go back to Rabbi Damoda and his part, dealing with what took place. And let me explain, audience, to y'all about the Obadiah Alliance letter. It's a letter that was written by the Jewish courts. So I'm going to have Remy speak about that a little bit. Remy, what took place? And I do have a copy of the letter. If anybody wants the letter, email me and I'll send you the copy. This was ruled that the Igbos are the descendants of the ancient Hebrew Israelites. And it was a letter by the Jewish court. So my question, Remy, is what all took place in the process of the Obadiah ruling, and what role did Rabbi Damoda and yourself play in it?
The Obadiah Alliance is a Sephardic Jewish institution which its mandates include bringing the people of Israel together. The chairman of the organization is Dr. Yehonatan Dayan Elazar de Mota. He has a master's degree. He studied under Tudor Parfit as well, and he has a PhD in international law. We met at the Florida International University as students. He graduated before me and left. And without informing me, he began to probe into the history and the culture of the Igbo people. He began to consult his fellow rabbis too. He began to tell them, let us look into this. That there appears to be so much that is being ignored. That there appears to be so much that is being ignored. For, again, some of the reasons we have highlighted in this interview. The Igbos are Africans, the Igbos are blacks. So, even though we should look very carefully at what we are hearing, but apparently we are not looking. He spent time, continued to visit Igbo communities, even in the UK, and continued to study. At a stage, he said that if we are to use presumption, if we are to use what we see with our eyes, well, this was not a statement just by him, but by so many of the people that began to look into Igbo culture and history, that if they were to look at presumption, if they were to go beyond, this is what I found in this book, this is what I found in this book, that they doubt that anybody can prove that they were Israelites more than the Igbos. I know what they were talking about. A lot of Igbo people are living exactly the way Samuel lived in the Bible, but they may not know that that was what they were doing. So, after looking critically, Obadiah Alliance constituted a court and took a decision. They constituted a court and took a decision. And the ruling was that the Igbos are lineal descendants of the Israelites. This is 3 years now. Nobody has said that that judgment is not legal. That judgment is backed by halakha. That judgment is backed by halakha. I'm a lawyer too. I am a lawyer. I was not part of the judgment, but I know that that judgment cannot be challenged anywhere. I know that that judgment cannot be challenged anywhere. Anybody that wants to challenge that judgment, will have to prove that there is nothing like the Israelites existed. If you say that that judgment was not legal, what you are saying is that the Israelites did not exist. I know what I'm saying. Because there are many things that the Igbos are doing in the year 2025 that are in Torah, that even their brothers, the Jews, have forgotten those things completely. And by the way, when we talk about the Igbos, we are talking about those of us born as Igbos in Nigeria and the Igbos who were cut off during the transatlantic slave trade, who some of them became prophets. People like Olaudah Equiano, people like Blyden, that is a very big part of the African American community and the Caribbean community. To us, they are Igbos. Thank you.
I hope y'all heard that clearly in reference to the Jewish courts over in Israel. It's a legal document, and it's undisputed. Undisputed. And like I said, I have a copy of that letter, and if anybody wants it, let me know. All praises to Yah for that. I took my DNA, and I'm 37% Igbo, and I'm proud to say that. So, Remy, why do some Igbos reject being a Hebrew Israelite? Like, I get a lot of, like, some of these rooms I'm in, some of these Igbos speak out and said, oh, we're not Israelites. And I do know that there was some type of colonization in Christianity over in Nigeria as well. So can you touch bases on that, please?
Good question. The Igbos that say they are not Israelites are ignorant, and it is understandable. Colonialism takes away a very, very important power that God gave to human beings. It is you that is supposed to say who you are. Another person is not supposed to tell you who you are. And Igbos have gone through several colonialisms. It's not just one. Igbos have gone through at least 3 colonialisms or 4. There is a neighboring group called the Gala people. They conquered large areas of Igbo land and colonized it. And what colonialism does to you is that the colonialists give you another identity. And over time, you begin to think that that is who you are. Part of the great work of people like Dr. William Saunders Crowdy, and people like Ben Ami, is that they told African Americans, they told you you are slaves. You are not slaves. Some of you are Israelites. So, then the Bini people, they had an empire. They also dominated some Igbos. Then the British, they also dominated the Igbos and colonized them. Then Christianity. All these groups told the Igbos what they wanted the Igbos to be. And remember, don't miss this point. This point is very essential. The last of the colonial powers was the British and the Christians. And they came as white. So when the Igbos wanted to start kicking against these people that dominated them, the white people, they began to kick against anything they saw as white, including the Israelites. Because remember, the Israelite identity had been whitewashed. Jesus, white, Moses, white, everybody white. So the Igbos are now saying, we are black. Those Igbos that are doubting, they are thinking, we are black, we are not white, our colonialists are white, those are our professors, our persecutors are white, we are different from them. So they included the Igbos, the Israelites, among the people that persecuted them. Because that was exactly what the people who have dominated the world have done for 2,000 years. I told you how they took the Israelite identity and the Bible and made them European, made them white. That is why every day we are told about how Jews were driven out of Spain and Portugal. But nobody talks about how they were driven out of Nigeria the same year. The Songhai Empire entered into Nigeria. Askia Muhammad, the emperor, ordered the Jews away. Why is nobody talking about this one? Why is people only talking about Spain and Portugal? Why? Because the people that arranged the world saw the identity of Israelite as a good thing, so they simply took it and turned it into white. So when some Igbos broke away from colonialism, the only way they felt they would be safe is to separate themselves from their white oppressors. And since Israelite is white, they say, no, we are not Israelites. But how do you know that they are mistaken? Ask them their religion. They will tell you Omenana. And if you go to Deuteronomy 6:1, you will see Omenana. Ask them to describe their culture to you. They will describe Omenana. And the Omenana is the only description. Omenana is the only description for the religion of the Israelites. And it is only the Israelites that you can call their religion and culture Omenana. You cannot call the religion and culture of the Yoruba Omenana. You cannot call the religion and culture of the British Omenana. You cannot call the religion and culture of the Igala Omenana. It is only the religion of the Israelites and the religion of the Igbos that you can call Omenana. That is, religion and culture you shall do in the land. So, to recap and summarize, those Igbos that are saying we are not Israelites are simply ignorant. They have not done the research. Remember, there are Ashkenazi Jews and Sephardi Jews and Mizrahi Jews who say they are not Israelites too. They have not done the research. They don't know some of the things I told you here. It's a question of research. And we assume that because somebody is Igbo, he will know about Igbos. We assume that because somebody is Jew, he will know about the Jews. But it doesn't work like that. It works very differently. Thank you.
All praises. Remy is bringing out some controversial topics. All praises. Remy, so do you, this is like a two-part question, but I'll let you answer the first one. During the slave trade, do you think they targeted us specifically, being though majority of the slave ships were Igbo?
This is historical. It is historical that we were targeted. One gentleman recently, the Nigerian government gave him a position. He thought he was putting the Igbos down by revealing what happened. But he said his own ethnic group, the Shekiri, the Urobo, the Bini, he said that all of them targeted the Igbos. He said, you didn't have an army. You didn't have a king. You were Democrats, so you were very weak. We enslaved you. It's an open secret. We were targeted. In my latest book, I discussed this. The Hebrew Israelites, there is something they are saying which is based on history, but there is a disconnection somewhere. When they can make, there is something they say to buttress that supports their claim or their argument that they were descendants of the Israelites. They said, we were put on the slave ships. If they say our Igbo ancestors were the majority that were put on the slave ships, nobody can argue with that. Because the Igbos suffered more from the transatlantic slave trade than any other group in Africa. So definitely the group was targeted, just like the group is still targeted today. The Igbos are still a targeted people today.
All praises. Now, I'm one of the first ones. I'm proud to say this. I've been saying it all week. I was one of the first to get your new book. You sent it to me, and I didn't read it all yet. I've been diving in it, and in the book, an African American history, one of those books, you mentioned our ancestors migrated through the Elephantine westward, all the way through the Niger River. Can you elaborate on how we got from Israel into that area somewhat in West Africa?
You see, the migration of the Israelites into Africa, fortunately, the Bible even captured it. But because of some of the reasons we have been mentioning here, racism, people don't want to believe that anything good came out of Africa. They are neglecting that whenever the Israelites had major problems, like famine, like war, one of the first places they enter was what became Africa. So, as at the time, I don't want to talk about how Israel and the 12 sons moved to Egypt. Egypt was just a gateway into Africa. Egypt was just a gateway. It's people don't enter a place and stay there forever. They continue to move. But when the Babylonians came for the first time, when they before they finally destroyed Jerusalem, there was a lot of going and coming, going and coming. Eventually, they appointed a guy called Gedaliah to run Judah for them. Some Israelites killed that guy. Then, when Nebuchadnezzar came to ask them to account for that, the Bible said that those Israelites carried the prophet into Egypt. But due to what I've maintained over and over again, people want to disconnect the Israelites from Africa. They don't mention that movement into Egypt. They prefer not to mention that movement into Egypt. Even when they talk about Elephantine, they don't mention that. And remember, the Israelites did not become settled. It's just Israelites never become settled. What happens is, if they go to a particular place, they set up, they begin to develop the place. After they have developed the place, anti-Semitism will follow them. So this anti-Semitism drove the Igbos to leave Elephantine and continued moving down, looking for safety until they entered the forests of West Africa. We have been in that forest of West Africa estimatedly for between 1,500 years and 2,000 years. And we entered those forests for safety because it was the only place we could be safe. And we were safe for at least 500 years there. That was why we were able to plant Israelite culture there. When I say Israelite culture, I know what I mean. There is an article that Demota will release soon. I will make sure you will be one of the people that will read that article. One of the first. You see the way Joshua divided the land of Israel. Only the Igbos can divide that land that way today. Nobody can divide it because only the Igbos carry that culture from Israel. There is a certain way land is to be divided. The way land is handled in Igbo land today is the way land was handled in Israel, in ancient Israel. Ultimately, when the house of Israel comes together, other branches of the family of Israel will come for the Igbos to teach them some of these things they have forgotten. So what I gave you was a very brief summary of the migration. And after this major migration from ancient times, 2,000, 3,000, 2,500 years ago, when Israelites in places like Spain, Portugal were disturbed, let us even ask ourselves a question. Christianity was driving them away from Spain and Portugal. It was Christianity. Islam was driving them away from Songhai Empire. Why are historians telling us only that they went into Europe where they meet the same Christians? Or that they went to Ottoman Empire where the same Muslims are waiting for them? But if you are in Portugal or Spain and you face the sea, you are looking at West Africa. Why are we not thinking that they simply came down through the coast of West Africa and joined the older Hebrew communities, which retained their identity, Ibri? By the way, the traditional name of the Igbos is Ibiri. This Igbo is new. What we used to call ourselves was Oki Ibiri, Ibiriache, and Ibirinta. Like you now, Shabarawak. As an Igbo man, what I'm supposed to call you traditionally is Oke Ibiri. And your wife, I'm supposed to call her Ibiriache. And the Ibiri is the Hebrew word for Hebrew. Thank you.
All praises. I know I don't subscribe to the 12 tribe chart, Remy, but in our Igbo, in our people and culture, what are some of the tribes that through oral traditions that we claim in Igbo? You muted, Remy. You muted.
Again, People treat the history of the Israelites as if they have dealt with it and closed it. No, it is a continuing history, because remember, when we talk about the Israelites, we are talking about a people that lived over 3,000 years ago. People should be humble and admit that they did not know everything about those people. So when they talk about them, they will say, oh, the Jews are Judah and Benjamin. No, it is much more complicated than that. So what I'm trying to say is the Igbos are composed of most of the tribes, and they can prove it, including those ones that say they are not Israelites. If you give them the right method, they can begin to prove it to you. I'll give you an example. One of the funniest things I have seen is people are looking for the Kohanim and the Levites, and they ignore the Igbos. It is like if I want to see African Americans, I will ignore the United States. Does it make sense? If I'm living in Australia and I want to see an African American and I ignore the United States, it doesn't make sense. Why I say it doesn't make sense is you are looking for the Kohanim, you are looking for the Levites. You ignore the Igbos, who are still doing those things that Levites were doing at the time of Aaron, who are still doing it even this year. So, who are even answering the name that the Levites answered, even though a lot of them don't even know they're answering the name. If you come to Igbo land, there is a community called Unri, or some communities called Unri. They did not know that the title of their community was in the Bible. The title of their community was Nri Enweho Ana. Nri has no land. And Jacob said, Levi shall have no land. Moses said, the Levites shall have no land. God said, the Levites shall have no land. And what is the primary work of this community in Igbo land? Priestly. They are priests. So when they begin to say, when our brothers and sisters and scholars began to say, we saw the Kohanim gene, we saw the Levite gene, with due respect, I know that they were not getting it. They were not getting it. And no matter how far they go, they must come back. Because the truth will not go away. No matter how far they go, they will come back and ask questions. They will come back and ask questions. Because ultimately, all those claims cannot be, all those claims of we found this, we found that, we found this, we found that, can never really stand up to scrutiny. It's just like our brothers and sisters in the Jewish community are preparing to build the third temple. We wish them the best. But if they want to build that temple without referring to the Igbos, they will not get it right.
All praises, Remy. I know you had mentioned Tudor before, but I wanted to know, you had mentioned that he helped you pave the way to getting here in America. What was his role with that to help you? You're muted, Remy.
Yeah, Tudor arranged for me to be admitted, arranged a very generous allowance, which enabled me to come here and study. So I remain forever grateful to him.
Praises. All right. Okay, that's powerful. Now, in the Igbos, in our culture, Remy, Did we teach the Torah orally too? Did we pass it down through our ancestors, the Torah?
We pass it down orally and we live it. We pass it down orally and we live it. I will give you an example. And I will give you some examples that, if you are like me, they will make you to cry. If you are like me, they will make you emotional enough to cry. When Ruth, after Ruth had met with Naomi, after Ruth had met with Naomi, and Naomi told her the traditions of Israel. We have a tradition, Naomi was telling Ruth, we have a tradition that if somebody dies, one of the brothers will marry the wife. Ruth, she told Ruth to go and lie down beside that old man. And she told her what to do. Ruth went and lay down beside the old man. And according to the Bible, Ruth startled him. He woke up and said, "Who is that?" You know what Ruth said? Ruth said, "Cover me with your cloth." When the day I wrote this in my book, The Hebrew Igbo Republic, I broke into tears. Do you know the term for marriage among the Igbo people? The term for marriage among the Igbo people is "cover me with your cloth." The term for marriage among the Igbo people is "cover me with your cloth." Ima ogodo. Ima aqua. Ima ogodo. So we teach it orally, and that is what we live. It is what we live. May God continue to give Mikel Meir Halevi strength to continue his research. This is an Ashkenazi guy who was saying that people must never ever neglect oral traditions, because once you write something down, you edit it, you close it. But if you don't write it down, you are not going to cut off many things. I want to know, our brothers and sisters in the Jewish community, how many of them still remember that a name for marriage is "cover me with your cloth"? I'm not sure they remember, because they have written it down. But because we did not write it down until now, we are just beginning to write it down now. We still remember something that Ruth said maybe 3,000 years ago. So the answer to your question is, we pass it orally and we live it. We live it every day. The exact statement that Abraham made for funeral for Sarah is the exact statement that Igbos make for funeral for anybody today. Ikwa akwamozu, to cry, to weep. So we live it and we pass it down orally. That is the answer. So these are the answers.
Praises. My next question is, and I got a couple more questions, family. Then I'm opening the floor up for a few questions in the chat. All right, so y'all get ready. If you have any, I took some down. So the other question, Remy, is in one of your books you mentioned Friedman, the hidden Holy Grail. What did you mean by that statement? I didn't kind of understand that.
Okay. Yeah. Um, Fried Man is a Jewish woman who treated the Igbo question with due respect. She was discussing a related subject and she approached the Igbo question with respect. A lot of our brothers in the Jewish community, a lot of our sisters, especially our brothers who are in the press, who are journalists, they don't handle the Igbo question with respect. Forever, they are discussing, they are questioning the origins of the Igbos forever. And they don't question their own. They do not question their own. They question only that of the Igbos. And I think we should have gotten to the stage of their treating the question of the Igbos with respect. But Friedman handled it with respect in an article by simply stating what the facts present. I'll use an example to make clearer what I'm trying to say. If I know fully well that Olauda Equiano was in the American colonies, he was in the American colonies. He was not only in Britain, he was in the American colonies, which means he could have ended up a black American. If I know this, and every time all the question I'm asking is, are some Hebrew Israelites descendants of Israelites? I'm not being respectful because they are Israelites. I should know. That's what I mean. Or asking questions all the time about the origins of a people is not very respectful, especially if you are not asking questions about your own origins. So I meant that Friedman discussed the subject with respect. That's why I said she began to ask questions about the Holy Grail, because the truth is that we will continue to have these arguments between Hebrew Israelites and Jews until we open our eyes and see that both of them are connected to one another through the Igbos. The connection between the Hebrew Israelites and the Ashkenazi Sephardim Mizrahi and the Israelis, the bridge is the Igbo people. The bridge between them is the Igbo people. I repeat what I said. The bridge between two groups of Israelites or descendants of Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites and the Jews, is the Igbo people.
All praises. All right. My next question will be, you mentioned Tudor Parford finding a lot of old maps in the 1600s. Can we locate any of them maps today?
I believe that if we go to all of Tudor's videos, I've tried to find them myself some time ago. I didn't search enough. Did you ask Tudor for that map?
Oh, I asked. Well, I'm trying to get him to come back and talk about the maps and some of the stuff. So I'm waiting on him. He said after get with him after the holidays and everything. So I'll be reaching back out to him towards the end of January.
I saw that map myself, and it's obvious. It's obvious who the map was talking about, because there is a gulf. The only gulf from Lagos to Congo is the one that jutted into Igbo land. There is no other gulf anywhere. Bonny, Opobo, on the high sea, they are the place. I saw the map myself once, and I'm not surprised that the map is there. I mean, I'm not surprised that the Portuguese, I am not surprised that the Portuguese made that map because there are some towns there with Portuguese names like Forcados. Yeah, so that is it. We will, I would, if you locate the map again, let me know.
I will. I will. Um, One more question. Walter Isaac, you mentioned him too. What role did he play in your life?
Walter is not just a friend, Walter is a brother. There is something I say very seriously, but people may not know that I mean it when I say it. Remember, I'm coming from ancient Israel. The culture, my worldview is shaped by ancient Israel. My discussions are like the discussions of the ancient Israelites. I believe that when I left my father's house, God positioned some angels on the way to be taking care of me. Walter Isaac happened to be one of them. There is a sister, a John Brown. I told her the same thing. You are one of the angels that God positioned to take care of me. Walter Isaac happened to be one of them. Barely 3 months after my arriving in America, I had a knock on my door, and that was Walter. And through him, not only has he treated me exactly like a brother, but he gave me access to African American culture and history. You need access to study a culture you were not born into. You need serious access to study a culture you were born outside of, that you don't even know the language. We all speak English, but still, a lot of you guys came from us. I mean, you and us have the same ancestors, but we have lived apart for 300 years. So I needed access. Walter opened the door, and I began to understand the history and culture of our people here. So I can write a book about Walter.
All right. So I'm gonna have a few questions in the chat, Remy. One of the questions was from Corn, brother Corn. He had asked, I guess earlier when he was mentioning the language of the Igbo and the Hebrew, he asked, "What Hebrew do you recommend?"
Can you repeat the question, brother?
Okay, so he had asked. He heard you, brother Corn C. Baron. He had heard you mention the language of the Igbo is similar to the Hebrew, and he was wondering what language do you recommend as far as the Hebrew. You know, some issues with people saying the Hebrew without the vowel points and all that. He's saying, what Hebrew do you recommend?
My recommendation will be learn Igbo. If you learn Igbo, you can help to build up Hebrew. And you are more likely to find resources for learning Igbo, because there are over 1 million Igbos in America who are speaking the language. So if you will also be helping us, because you will force us to begin to speak that Igbo the way we are supposed to speak it.
Okay, got you. Okay, the next question is Sister Ro asked, was Igbo and Ibu the same? IBO and Igbo.
Same thing, but the older term is Ibiri. Ibiri. Do you say it was a sister that asked the question?
Yes, her name is Ro. Yes.
Ro, the correct way for me to greet to address you is Ibiri Ache. Ibiri Ache. So Igbo and Igbo are derivatives. They are derivatives of Ibiri. The more correct term is Ibiri, Ibiriache. You, Shah Barawak, you are Oke Ibiri, that is male Hebrew. My son is 15 years. He's Ibirinta because he's not yet adult. So Ibirinta means more Hebrew. You are a Hebrew man. Our sister Ro is a Hebrew woman. Yeah. While my son Daniel is Ibirinta, small Hebrew.
Okay, they're asking, can you spell it? Are you saying Ivri, Ivri?
No,
No,
Ibiri.
Ibri. Okay, you got that, Sister Yahudi? Okay, well, yeah, my wife will put it in the chat. Ibri. Say it again, Remy. I'm sorry.
I like in India, B like in brother, I like in India, R like in Remy, I like in India again. Then Ache is A like in Abraham, C like in Canada, H like in house, I like in India.
All right. So, Remy, you mute your mic so I can ask the question because I think that it's echoing. I think again.
Huh?
No, I said we had to keep our mics muted from each other when we talking because I believe it's echoing when we both have our mics unmuted. So I believe we need to do it one at a time. The next question was from Yahudi Blue. She asked, "Was our ancestors, if our ancestors entry into Africa? I agree. So where did we originally come from?" That was one of her questions.
Our ancestors originally our ancestors, if we don't want to go back all the way to Mado, that is Adam. By the way, the Igbo word for human being is an inversion of Adam. The Igbo word for human being is an inversion for Adam. So when I tell you, brothers and sisters, learn Igbo, I'm also telling you to learn Hebrew because Igbo is Hebrew. So let's not go back to Adam. Let's not even go back to Noah. Let us start from Abraham. We originally started from Uru, Chaldea. That's where we started from. By the way, I was born in Uru, Okwe. My mother gave birth to me in a place in Anambra, Nigeria, called Uru, Okwe. And Uru, what Uru meant to Abraham, is what Uru means to me. So we started from there, then moved to the land of Israel or land of Canaan. Then from there, we moved to West Africa. And life happens. You guys, we are moved to this part of the world. I remained there while you guys we are moved here. And life happens again. I'm among you today in the United States of America.
All right. The next question is, do you believe the Israelites were scattered to every nation, to all four corners of the earth? You muted,
Yeah,
Remy.
when we talk about nations, we must also remember that 4,000 years ago, there may be just 20 nations. But now, Africa alone has 54 countries. So the nations we had 4,000 years ago are not the nations we have today. Now, there are many more nations. And how many people were in the world then? Who knows? Maybe 4,000 years ago, maybe there were less than 1,000 persons in the world, and maybe there were 20 nations then. It is possible that those 20 nations that the Israelites moved to them, but is it possible that the Israelites moved to every square inch of the world, every country in the world? I don't know, but how do we know? The only way we know is we keep on studying their cultures. Because I believe that the markers of Israelite culture are forever. They take a very long time to disappear completely. But if they disappeared completely, then they are gone. Then they are gone. So that's my answer to that.
All right. What caused the change in language, spelling, pronunciation from Igbo to Ibare? Why didn't it just stay the same?
It is not possible for something to remain constantly forever because remember, the people are exposed to foreign languages, they're exposed to foreign cultures, they have to struggle to maintain their identity to remain what they are. Okay. How many people that are Jews refer to themselves as Yehuda today? They call themselves Jews, but in the Torah there is no mention of Jew. The word Jew, it appeared for the first time in the book of Esther. So why? If Jew is connected to Yehuda, the language that Judah spoke was not the language that the Israelites were speaking at the time of the book of Esther. They had already moved to other languages. The Greeks were there. They brought their own culture. They brought their own language. The Babylonians were there. They brought their own culture. They brought their own language. It takes a very strong struggle for this. They must change. The most important thing is don't allow the change to destroy everything completely. Yeah, don't allow the change to destroy everything completely. For example, England was not called England 500 years ago. I mean, 1,000 years ago. There was a time it was called Anglo-land. The English that Shakespeare spoke, how many English people will understand it today?
Mute your mic, Remy. Any more questions, family? Any more questions? Definitely has been very informative of the information Remy has been bringing out. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. Please share the video. Please share the video. Remy, while we're waiting to see if we got any more questions, you mentioned David Lease, and I didn't read his book, but I ordered his book. But I read books on Edith Bruder. Can you elaborate on them two, how they play a part with the Igbo culture?
This is not meant as a disrespect to any group or anybody, but we have to state the facts, even if the facts are not very comfortable. Daniel Lees visited Igbo land. Daniel Lees visited Igbo land like the motor went to Igbo land, met the Igbos directly, saw what the people are doing, and that was why he turned out a book that will be respected forever. I mean, Daniel Lees. Yeah. Edith Bruder did a good job of work, but Edith Bruder is still asking questions, and she's asking those questions because she doesn't have access to the most important information. And the only time I will think that this question, the particular question, is valid is if a scholar is interested in asking about the origins of the Igbos, I want that scholar to also ask about the origins of the Jews. I don't like scholars to act as if the origins of the Jews is settled completely. It is not more settled than that of the Igbos. I don't know if I'm making a point. Edith Bruder did a good job of work, but she's still asking those questions. And I think those questions will be balanced when she is also asking the same questions about the origins of the Jews. In other words, if we are still studying the Igbos, let us also be studying the Jews. Let us not be thinking that the Jews are settled, they are the Israelites. No. If you are still having questions about, if you are still saying, we cannot be sure entirely, why are you acting as if we are sure entirely about the Jews? No. But our work is a good beginning. It's a good beginning, but that is all I want to say for now about that.
Yeah, so reach your mic, Remy. So I've heard Tudor say, honestly, and he said it on our interview and he said it before, that the Jews, the European Jews, they don't have oral traditions as rich as the Igbos or any other melanated Jews that claims. He said that they don't have they oral traditions don't go back further than the medieval times. They don't have ancient oral traditions like us. Do you know anything about that?
Probably Tudor has studied their history more than I have, so he can maybe if that is his view, that's his view. I do not. When he says that the oral traditions don't go beyond the medieval ages, how about some of their texts, like the Talmud, the Talmud, are they not older than the medieval period? But I don't know what he meant.
All right, here's a question on the screen. Remy, could you see it? I'm going to start putting the questions on the screen.
I see it. 1 second, please. No, I do not think. I think that the Israelites are the source. It is good to know about the Jews, it is good to know about the Israelites, but we cannot really know about the Jews unless we know about the Israelites.
All right, anybody else while we wind down, family? Any more questions? Anybody else? We got one on the screen here, Remy.
Okay. Maybe late January. I apologize. Maybe late January. And are you already getting into it, Sister Sagala?
Not yet. Not yet. Soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I've read some of it.
Yeah. I want the hard copy.
All right, Remy, it looked like we winding down. I'm going to wait about 30 more seconds to see if somebody's typing, and we'll see.
Okay.
We got one here, Remy.
Oh, sure. Sure. We went through the courses and we are still going through the courses now. And yeah, definitely we are going through the courses now. And remember why the people of Israel have to go through those courses. Not every stream of humanity must go through suffering if they do not obey the commandments of the Lord, but we have to suffer more because we were warned. We are supposed to know more than others. So, Sister Ivana, definitely we are going through the courses. Do you know how many genocides the Igbo people have gone through in the last 120 years? Two major genocides. I'm talking of real genocides. And when you guys talk about getting into the slave ships, a lot of you guys got into the slave ships as Igbos. Kuyano was there as an Igbo. Crowdy was there as an Igbo.
We got another one.
Yeah, we will get them. We will get what we are working on, editing, improving. Very soon, everything will be in print again. Thank you, and I appreciate your support over the years, brothers and sisters.
We got another one here, Remy.
Yes, you know, the only time we recognize colonization is when it's the white people. But if it's the local people, we don't recognize them as colonization, but they're real. Like if you are following the news about Nigeria now, there are groups that are fighting each other because some groups want to dominate the others. So in our own case, the Gala Empire or kingdom conquered a part of northern Igbo land and imposed their culture on that part. Then the Bini was an empire. It also dominated a large part of the place. That area is dominated. You will see traces of their culture there. Like those people are the ones that will also want to have kings. While the general Igbo culture, there is nothing like a king because God is the king. Then if you move south, you will also find some other peoples that their culture entered, their culture and their religion. And then the one that everybody knows is European colonialism and Christian colonialism. But that is the one everybody knows. But the other ones, people don't even know that they are colonialism.
Here, you got another one here.
I thought I would recommend strongly Igbo language because of two reasons. One is that in every city you would find an Igbo who can speak that language. Speak to that Igbo, and the best way to learn a language is to speak it. Second is that my own theory is that the language we call Igbo and the language we call Hebrew, they are one language that are now presenting themselves as different languages, but they are one language, presenting themselves as different languages. But once you begin to get into them, you will see that you are looking at one language. That you can see again why I told you that when some of my colleagues say we are still studying the Igbos, I want them to say we are studying the Jews. Let them stop acting as if the Jewish question is closed. It's not closed as long as the Igbo question is still open. So, more asụsụ Igbo. Learn the Igbo language.
All right, y'all, we got about 5 more minutes. Any more questions? On 44, are you asking questions or are you just giving some history in the text, in the chat? Just curious, because Remy is Igbo himself. There you go, Remy.
I say the Igbo, IGBO. Igbo. Okay, yeah, I will find resources and give to Brother Brawak. But I am saying that, the easiest way to learn a language is still to be speaking it. So, since we find Igbos in every corner of the United States, most of these people you learn are majority of the people you learn are from Nigeria, Igbos. Make friends with them. They will be very happy to begin to speak it with you. And from experience, that is the easiest way to learn a language. Because if you learn a language but you don't speak it, you forget it. If you read about it. When I started my master's, I had friends that went for New Testament Greek. 1 year after we finished, they forgot everything because they had nobody to practice with.
We got another one here, Remy.
Okay. We just finished the Festival of Lights. That is Hanukkah. So in Hebrew, that festival is also called Chag Urim. One of the oldest Igbo words for light is Urimu. I repeat what I said. We just finished the festival called Hanukkah. One of its names is Chag or Hag Urim in Hebrew. One of the oldest Igbo words for light is Urimu. And I want to believe that if David wanted to pronounce Urim, he would say Urimu. That you will be there. In the course of this interview, I mentioned, when I was tracing the migration, I mentioned, in the course of this interview, when I was discussing the migration, I mentioned that we took off from Uru, Chaldea, where Abraham lived. And I said that I was born in Uru Okwe. Uru Okwe. Uru in the Igbo language and the Uru in the language of Abraham are the same thing. Then in the course of this interview again, I mentioned that the Igbo word for human being is an inversion of Adam. You know, when the Bible talks about Adam, the Bible is referring to human being. The Igbo word for human being is Mado. But Brother Barawak, you can go to Barnes and Noble and pull out my book where I compared both languages, though it's still an ebook, but you can show it here. The examples are thousands.
All right, Remy, give them the information where they can reach your ebooks at, like where at.
If they go to Barnes and Noble, just type in Remy llona. About 4 or 5 books will come up there, including the one that is, the book is very, very phenomenological because it discusses the spiritual. It discusses that being. There is a being that left Saul. You know, you remember the story of King Saul? That angel that left him and another angel entered. The Bible said the Spirit of God left Saul and an evil spirit entered Saul. We understand what happened there very clearly. The title of the book on Barnes and Noble is Agu. 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 A like in Abraham, G like in Godwin, W like in Wikipedia, U like in Onda. The title of the book is Agu, the Holy Spirit that became an evil spirit. We understand what is going on there. Agu.
All right, family, it's been a blessing. Unmute your mic, Remy. I know I'm echoing. It's been a blessing, family, that everybody came in. I pray that everybody's safe and through your traveling. And Remy will be coming back next week as well. We got to discuss the date. I think it will be next Saturday, 4 p.m. And we'll pick up the subject of what he's going to be talking about. And I'll start advertising it once we get everything talked about behind the scenes. Definitely glad everybody came in. Like, share the video. Even if you don't agree with some of the things Remy said, you know, there was a lot of information that was that was definitely good, you know, and share the video with everybody, family. And also those who have not seen my interviews, you can go to the playlist of some of the scholars Remy named and go to my special guest interview on my playlist, and you can see all the interviews I've done with scholars here. And we got some upcoming stuff coming, and I'll be announcing that as we go on. Please pay attention to the community posts. And on my YouTube channel, I post upcoming stuff all day. I make short videos. And as y'all know, we're transitioning because of the split with our community, but we're still moving forward, and we pray for those over in the other community as well, that we all can still keep growing and sharing this truth with each other and keep praying for each other, no matter what our differences are. All right, so definitely thank everybody for coming, and all praise to Yahweh, Shabbat Shalom, and Shalom Shabbat to everybody. Have a blessed evening.
You only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I made a promise, can't nobody take it. I chose to put you above all the nations. Out of your graves, I chose to awaken. We made a covenant, don't you forsake it. Come get protected while they going crazy. Israel, my firstborn, my baby. Israel, my firstborn, my baby. I woke you up in your land of captivity. I do not change, I want you to remember me. Laws and commandments, I gave you the remedy. Go read the testimonies for your memory. I sent them prophets, but you wasn't hearing me. I come to you if you really come near to me. I heard your cry, now it's time to say it to me. I know what got you from all of your enemies. Who you know open the sea. Them waters are bitter, but I made it sweet. In case you ain't know how to swim, I'm your protector, so I made you walk on your feet. This a reminder you married to me. I just want you to be all I called you to be. They called you niggas, but I made you priests. I'm about to give you back everything. I'm sending plagues for you. I'm sending boys drying up rivers. I leave them dead for you. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go. You heard what I said for you. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go. You heard what I said for you. For you, you only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel, I'm the reason you in captivity. We made a covenant, you ain't remember me. You broke the covenant, I sent your enemies. Get out my lane since you wasn't fearing me. I'm the reason they put you in chains. I'm the reason they switched up your name. I'm the reason why you in the hood. I'm the reason of all your pain. I'm sending flows fast daily. Think I don't love you, y'all my babies. Gave my son, must be crazy. Come out that system, come out of that lady. They got that military when I face me. It would not move me, it would not graze me. Remember Egypt, I did all that for my people. You only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. You only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel.